John chapter 9 is almost entirely taken up with the story of the healing of the man born blind. Or rather, it's entirely taken up with the Pharisees' reaction to the healing of the man born blind. The Pharisees are the central characters in this chapter. I'm often amazed at why Jesus spent so much time engaging with them, the Saviour of the world engaging with this rather obscure sect in a far corner of the Roman Empire. But the reason is that the spirit of the Pharisees is present in every age and culture, and it's the spirit of people with fixed ideas and paradigms who try to impose them on others and so take away their freedom. Jesus always argues with people who take away other people's freedom. Now, a paradigm's not a bad thing. It's simply a picture I have in my brain of what I think the world is like. Scott Peck called it maps. He said, if my maps are good, I will never really be lost. Now, if you look carefully at the map inside that man's head, it's actually back to front. If my map is faulty, I will forever be stumbling around in the dark, and worse, I will cause others to stumble around in the dark with me. Now, in this chapter, I see two paradigms that the Pharisees are operating out of. The first is that all suffering is a result of sin. You see it in the cruel thing they say to this blind man. You were steeped in sin at birth. That's why you're blind. People with fixed paradigms can be very cruel. But even the disciples just assume this paradigm. They say to Jesus, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? They don't even question it. They like the little fish swimming in the water, and his father says, the water's warm today, and the little one says, what's water? Not even aware of the paradigm he's swimming in. Now, it's not a totally wrong paradigm. Some suffering is caused by sin, my own sin or the sin of others. But the Bible's a very honest book and gives a very broad view of reality. And so we're given the book of Job right in the middle of the Old Testament to show that all suffering is not caused by sin. And Job's comforters are a picture to us of the danger and even the cruelty of imposing that paradigm on others, especially on the sick. The second paradigm I see the Pharisees operating from is, in verse 22, they had already decided that Jesus was not the Messiah. Notice those words, already decided. Their minds made up. Nothing is going to change them. They're not open to change. He could do 100 miracles in front of them. In fact, he almost already has. And nothing will change their minds. Listen to this passage by Scott Peck. Our route to reality is not easy. We're not born with maps. We have to make them, and making them requires effort. If our maps are to be accurate, we have to revise them continually. By the end of middle age, most people have given up on the effort. They feel certain that their maps are complete and their view of the world is correct, indeed even sacrosanct. They can regard people with different opinions as enemies. Such people can become defensive, aggressive, even dangerous. And the Pharisees are dangerous. The parents of the boy knew that. In verse 22, anyone who claimed that Jesus was the Messiah would be thrown out of the synagogue. Now that was much worse than just, I won't have somewhere to go to church on Sunday. The synagogue was a little bit like the Dutch Reformed Church in the old days, the absolute center of community. And if you were thrown out of that, you were a social outcast. It was dangerous. The Pharisees had their ideologies and they were going to impose them on others no matter what. Isn't it interesting how the word ideology is similar to the word idolatry? How many millions of people were sacrificed in the 20th century on the ideology that one group could be better than another? 6 million Jews to start with. The Pharisees have extraordinarily closed minds. An open mind, like common sense, is not really common. And perhaps a good question to ask ourselves during Lent is, when was the last time I changed a significant attitude or way of thinking and showed my mind to be open? Listen again to Scott Peck. Only a fortunate few continue until the moment of death, exploring the mystery of reality.